Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Mr. Robot Season 2, Episode 1 and 2 video. It was basically like a two-part premiere, so just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. Kind of picking up in the ashes of what happened with like that big hack, basically erasing all records of debt in the United States. Those are the encrypted records that are being held ransom. But the twist is that Evil Corp is still just as powerful as it used to be. So in effect, what they're saying is that even though they were successful, they were kind of unsuccessful. Like they didn't completely bring down Evil Corp because you have the evil CEO going to the government, pushing them around for another bailout. You have Angela, who's now working for Evil Corp, pursuing the American dream. She's like, I'm going to have everything that's coming to me. Like, she really loves feeling powerful now that she's making a lot of money. She's really successful. She feels valued, even though she's kind of lying to herself. But you can kind of see that, if she's successful at her job, it means that she's undoing a lot of the damage that Elliot did. So they're kind of at odds this season without really knowing it. But the biggest twist, you find, like Elliot talks about his program, his routine. You meet a new friend who's probably imaginary, who just won't stop talking about Seinfeld. That's something I'll talk about in a second. But the big twist of the episode is that he realizes that Mr. Robot is the one that engineered the routine so that he could use that period when Elliot was asleep to actually control him. So whereas Season 1 was mostly Elliot coming to realize that he was Mr. Robot, like he didn't realize that in Season 1, so he just thought that Mr. Robot was someone that was helping him out. He didn't know that it was his father. He talks about him like he's his special friend. Now it's more like the war between the two of them, like Mr. Robot is warring for control of his conscious mind. So even though they've struck a balance, like they had a balance in this episode where he's like, I'm not going to help you continue our work together unless you tell me where Tyrell is, like what you did with him. Because they made you believe that he killed him at the end of last season, but then we learned because of the music box and the phone call at the end that he's still alive. That's who Elliot's talking to on that red phone. The Seinfeld episode that Leon's talking about at the beginning of the episode, the one where they're all waiting to get a table for the entire episode, is kind of a metaphor for, the plot of the first two episodes, the macro arc that's teeing up the season starting again. Because, the first couple of episodes is all about Elliot trying to stay away from their work. He's like, I don't want to do this. I've been hiding out this whole time. But then as Gideon gets murdered, there's this passage from the Book of Revelations that the woman is speaking at their at the church support group that Elliot goes to. And it's all like the passage, when you read the passage, it's all about God explaining that if you take up my cause, you'll receive all these wonderful things. So it's a call to action given by God, and Elliot slowly falls asleep, and then boom, he's on the phone. So it's almost like saying he's taking up the cause, so he'll receive all these awesome things. Because Mr. Robot technically upheld the terms of their agreement. So it seems like conscious Elliot, who is this? What the hell's going on? And it's Tyrell's voice on the other side of the line, that because Mr. Robot gave Elliot what he wanted, they are going to work together. So, he's going to be working with Craig Robinson, it seems like. So just to oversimplify, Elliot's basically going to start hacking again. I don't know what his involvement with F Society is going to be yet, because they're kind of like a separate entity. His sister has basically built out the team. They're working on sort of like the larger social engineering plan. That was what the burning of the money was. It was, meant to make this big statement, social engineering, get the people behind the bank to burn the money. And that's kind of what Angela was talking about on the phone with Bloomberg. Like they're going to do a big interview about it. You have to let us ask him about burning the money. Like, why the hell did he burn $5 million? So there's all these running plots. You have like the F Society social engineering plot. You have Elliot versus Mr. Robot. You have Evil Corp trying to stay alive using government bailout money. And then you have what's going on with Tyrell. And then kind of on a funny level, always floating in the periphery, you have to wonder how many times when Elliot's talking to someone else, he's imagining it in his head. So like Gideon sees his mother in his house. That's how you know that she's real. When you're seeing other characters that Elliot typically sees from other characters' perspectives. So like if somebody else sees Craig Robinson's character, you know that Craig Robinson is real. So as for right now, I think the only fictional people inside Elliot's mind are Leon, the Seinfeld friend that he eats 3 meals a day at the same diner with, and Mr. Robot. They're like the only two fictional people in his mind right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if another one pops up. So here's my big question for you guys. Like, what is your favorite thing from these first 2 episodes? And what do you think about Elliot's fictional friend? Like, do you actually think that Leon is a creation of his mind? Because Elliot just kind of sits there and listens to him. I think even though the program, as he calls it, was a creation of Mr. Robot's, which is like Elliot created Mr. Robot created the program. Mr. Robot is trying to take over Elliot's mind. So maybe Mr. Robot created Leon, but really it's Elliot that's creating all this inside his mind. It's just like his fractured subconscious. And they actually, I love the way they panned up on the image of his brain scan as a child. His mind is kind of the engine for a lot of this narrative. But the flashback does give you a good sense for how he slowly broke down, like his mind started to fracture as a way to deal with all the shittiness in his life. So like I said, do not be surprised if we get more flashbacks, if we see more fictional characters inside Elliot's mind. I'm really interested in Craig Robinson's character because, the dog, the way he talks about the dog, seeming like such a nice, unassuming person, seems like he might wind up being pretty terrifying. But the episodes were great. They were really just meant to kind of carry forward the plot from last season, like the consequences of that. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, Grace Gummer's character, she works for the FBI. She's going to be pursuing F Society, like the people that perpetrated the hack. So she is a good character, but she'll be gunning for Elliot and his friends when she starts to figure out who's really behind the hack. So the new big characters this season are Craig Robinson's character, who Elliot's going to be working with. You have Grace Gummer, and then you have the government. The government itself is a much larger character because you have Evil Corp pursuing more bailout money. Then you have the FBI pursuing F Society. So what's probably going to happen is I don't think I'm going to be doing weekly videos every single week, but I will probably check back in at the end of the season. This is going to be a really fun series. I think there's supposed to be 12 episodes total, so it's not like a huge time commitment. It's a Wednesday night show on USA Network. If you don't get the channel that it airs on, they do post episodes digitally on their website on usanetwork.com the day after. But new Game of Thrones coming later tonight. The actress who plays Lyanna Stark was saying some funny things about her Tower of Joy scene, baby Jon Snow scene. So be sure to subscribe to get that. And then tomorrow, there's going to be a whole bunch of new Star Wars stuff. Star Wars Celebration is happening in Europe right now. They're dropping a new Rogue One trailer, so I'll do a video for that. And then there's going to be some Star Wars Episode 8 stuff happening too. They just wrapped filming, principal photography. There's still a whole lot of work to do. They haven't started post-production yet. They'll have pickups later. They'll bring the actors back next year to do reshoots, just like every movie does. But for the most part, they've done the bulk of the filming that they're going to do with the actors. So Game of Thrones tonight, then a whole bunch of Star Wars tomorrow. While you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here for my Harley Quinn therapy trailer from Suicide Squad, and you can click here for my Black Flash, who is the new Black Flash on the Flash Season 3 video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.